It's like, oh, you have a cute puppy, but the cute puppy just shat all over the floor and chewed up all your shoes. And you're like, wow, man, why are you doing this? I gave you food. I give you toys. I hug you and cuddle you. But the puppy says, yeah, I really don't care about that. I like going on the floor. Mm-hmm. And that's the Democratic Party today. They're just going all over the floor, even though you just took them out.
Just be happy with who you are.
Okay, so let's get right into it. Let's open up the can of worms that is the upcoming election. I'm guessing you were probably a pretty staunch Bernie Sanders supporter during the last cycle.
Yeah, I did my best, to kind of. I had always leaned Bernie, obviously, throughout the entire thing, but I wanted to give everybody, I guess, a bit of a fair shake.
Of course.
But he was always like, you had to compare everybody else to him. Mm-hmm. And so then, before 2020 even hit, I just said, you know what, screw it. This is stupid trying to say, can they match up to Bernie? No, they can't. I'm Bernie all the way. And so now that it's just Biden v. Trump, it's a bit of a shock. We got news yesterday that Biden is allegedly going to work with Bernie and listen to Bernie on his environmental plan. And to me, that could be the only thing that really says, okay, I'm going to go in for Biden. Because we know he's not going to do Medicare for all. Those things are pipe dreams. Yeah. But when it comes to the environmental issues, that may be the one area that sets him apart. Because even if he literally did nothing on climate change, it's better than what's happening right now, which is going in reverse. So, if anything this year, I'm going to be the climate voter because I know all the other things with Bernie being out, that's not going to happen now. Mm-hmm. They've said it's not going to happen now.
Well, I mean, like I've said, a bag of onions could be better than the bar at where it's at right now. Like Donald Trump. Well, I mean, like Donald Trump. If you have someone who just doesn't deny that climate change is real, that by definition is going to be a better candidate, right? On that one issue.
Yeah, I mean, you've already won the battle at that point, and so that's what we have to work towards. But Biden has this history of obviously saying things, clearly not meaning them. Mm-hmm. He's working too closely with the bankers and the lobbyists and all those people who also have interests. Yeah, absolutely. And especially now that we're seeing oil essentially being so cheap that they've got to pay you to take it.
Which I didn't know was a thing. I didn't know we could get to this point.
I know. Like, how are people not going up to them saying, you know what? It's costing you $37. I'll take 1 million barrels and the 37 million. You know what is this? But that's crazy that they were actually having to pay people to take it off their hands.
Yeah.
But I want to see Biden respond to this. If he ever comes out and does a video without his wife, I want to hear what he has to say. Is he going to say, well, we have to protect him. We have to bail him out. We have to be their best. No. Because if he says any of that, no, you've lost it. You've lost me at that point, because you can't have that anymore. This is the golden opportunity to say, okay, listen, how about we invest in something that's not going to go belly up? Mm-hmm. We're not going to ever have to pay people to take solar energy off our hands, or wind energy, or geothermal. Those things are going to be there. When we get a surplus, fantastic. We can store it. We can store it safely. We don't have to put it in a barrel and hope eventually somebody is going to purchase that barrel. We know it'll get used. We know it's not going to cost. We're not going to have to pay somebody to take it off our hands, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, totally. What do you think his pathway to the presidency looks like, though? Because I know it's so impossible right now to make any kind of predictions. Everything is just, we've never had a world like this, right? Like it's malarkey, to say the least. But like, what are the chances that, like, I know Joe Biden is polling better nationally in some of the polls, but I know the polling data is probably going to be forever tarnished by the 2016 election when it comes to these kind of things. Is it going to get to a point where, the bodies have been stacked up so high and the economy is so tarnished that, virtually anything could defeat Donald Trump? And so at that point, Biden would be a fine candidate, I suppose, in that respect.
I think we could definitely hit that point. I mean, especially with these states attempting to reopen way too early. Yeah. We're going to get the second wave. Yeah. To use Bush's term, this is going to be the surge. Mm-hmm. this is what's going to, I mean, it happened with the Spanish flu in 1918.
Yeah, it's happening right now with Singapore. Right now, like it's happening. The numbers in Singapore don't lie; they are atrocious and they're frightening and they're horrifying. So, and the U.S.
Right,
has so much more population. Sorry, I'll stop interrupting.
Oh no! I was just going to add on to that. We didn't even already peak and start coming down. We're still going up.
Yeah.
Right. We didn't flatten that curve at all, but we just got tired of it. And we said, well, yeah, we don't even like curves. Let's just go. Mm-hmm. And we're pulling that trigger too early. And the only person who's going to benefit from that, yes, is Joe Biden. If, he is able to form coherent sentences, this should be a lock. Mm-hmm. I mean,
that's
like
a big if.
With the bag of onions thing, that is true. But unfortunately, the bag of onions that we have on the Democratic side right now, like they're kind of rotting. They're sprouting a little from the top. You're not sure if you should use them.
This metaphor is getting so gross.
but that's what we're left with. Any competent person could have beaten Donald Trump, and the Democratic voters, with the help of the establishment pushing it, went out and said, you know what? Let's take the worst guy. Let's take the one who doesn't know where he is, who doesn't know, his website. Yeah. He doesn't know people's names. He's literally lying about being arrested while trying to visit Nelson Mandela.
So weird.
And didn't get called on that crap.
No. He's got all kinds of strange stolen valor stories, and not to mention, I mean, you're talking about the recent stuff. His actual track record is atrocious. Like his history, right. his between the Supreme Court, Anita Hill, all the way through busing, segregation, you name it. Like he's a terrible, terrible candidate. I would say second only to Bloomberg. I don't know about you, but maybe Bloomberg was worse. I don't know. Joe seems like he was the worst.
I think it's a good tie between the two, because I don't think there were, legit people who actually cared about Bloomberg. I think it was all just this manufactured, let me spend $1 billion to get a couple people to like me. Yeah. And it's really disappointing too, when you look back, because I've been in this for a very long time. I've made a lot of friends, people I'm still friends with, and outside of, Twitter, like we've hung out, we've gone out to dinners, we've gotten completely just obliterated together.
Nice.
And to watch these people over the years slowly morph into, well, it's really Medicare for all is not such a good thing. Mm-hmm. I kind of like the Bloomberg model. And we're seeing that, believe it or not, too, with a lot of the independent lefty news outlets, not necessarily YouTube, but we're seeing it happen with like Raw Story and Alternet. Mm-hmm. And I cut my teeth on those websites here. I was great friends with the creators of Raw Story, John Byrne and Mike Rogers. They came down to Pensacola. They visited us. We took them out to our conferences. We hung out with them all the time. But they, I guess kind of relinquished control of Raw Story. And now it is just we're Democratic cheerleaders. We're not going to call them out. They ran a story yesterday saying, and I don't know that I want to call out the author of it, but I've gotten in tiffs with this author before on Twitter. He said, this whole stimulus package we just passed this week, this was a huge win for Nancy Pelosi.
What?
That was a line from that article. And I think it originally appeared on Alternet.
Do you live?
Well, exactly. So that's the problem. That's what this stuff has become. And I know the question was about Biden or Bloomberg, but it led me into this because I think of all my friends who ended up on the payroll of Bloomberg. People that, again, I was super great friends with and ended up muting them on Twitter because I couldn't take it anymore. Like, I know who you are as a person. Yeah. At least I know who you used to be, but I don't recognize you now. And that's sad. But I think, you know what? Sometimes we have to just cut those ties at this point. Mm-hmm. We're all going in a different direction. And either you're going with the corporatist crowd and you're saying any blue will do. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if he's not all there. He's blue. He does. We're in the direction of, you know what? Nothing's worked for us in terms of the government, the economy for our entire lives. Yeah. And I'm closer to 40 than I am 30 at this point. Mm-hmm. But it's been broken the entire time. I was in my freshman year of college when 9/11 happened. So then there was that. And, then there was Iraq. And then there was every single other thing that's come along since then.
Financial
and
crisis.
all we know is massive student loan debt, a horrible job economy out there, lackluster minimum wage. We can't afford homes. Housing prices have skyrocketed.
And you haven't even mentioned healthcare.
Right, exactly. That's the worst of it all, because I think back when I was in college, I'm still on my parents' plan at the time. I knew I could go to the doctor because they were on the copay, not a percentage, just straight up go to the doctor. It's $10. Any prescription in the world, $5. That's all I ever had to pay. If I got sick and had to go to the hospital, I had an appendectomy in 2004. That cost me $100 because I was on my parents' insurance, and it was from my dad's career at Bell South that he had fought for through the unions. So then we could kill the unions so they can't argue and get these great and wonderful healthcare plans anymore. And, a year or so later, I aged out, wasn't on that plan anymore, had to get the, very horrible insurance plan that I'm on today. And so, yeah, that's our lives, though. Those are our formative years. All of these horrible things happening to us. And so we're at the point where it's like, you know what? Any blue will not do. It's not just that, Democrats versus Republicans, Democrat win. Yeah. This isn't professional sports. They want it. The establishment wants it to be pro wrestling. They're the good guys. The Republicans are the bad guys. And sometimes the bad guys win, but we're going to come back and we're going to beat them. But nothing changes. Yeah. It's all this orchestrated song and dance. Meanwhile, we're sitting here saying, you know what? I need health care. I can't go get my prescriptions. I can't buy a home because my student loan debt payment is too much. And it's nuts. It's nuts that we get no relief and we get treated like somehow we're the ones who screwed up from these people. And that sends me over the edge. And I think that's why I have cut a lot of ties, and I have just gotten to the point where I'm like, you know what, screw it. I call people out. When you're like this, I don't care, if we were buddies, I don't care if your website used to be a great source. You're crap now. You're crap now. And you gotta be willing to admit that in order to.
What are your possible solutions? Because I know, like, obviously, I'm sure you're probably like me. You're probably like, I would say if I was in a swing state, yeah, I would vote for Biden, but that's just the harm reductionist thing. But I would never campaign for him. I would never, raise a finger. I'm not going to text for Biden. I'm not going to call for Biden. I'm not going to set up posters or any of that garbage for the, the alleged rapist versus the other alleged rapist, battle royale that's taking place. So where do you see the future of the party, or at least getting these kind of tangible solutions?
Well, between 2016 and about 4 weeks ago, I always thought the best path forward was to just, I'm going to stay a Democrat. I'm going to stay in the party. I'm going to push them left. I'm going to keep pushing left. I'm going to fight it. I'm going to make them go left. And it didn't work. So I think what's happened with me personally is that I don't know. I don't know where I'm at. Mm-hmm. If it only comes down to environmental issues, then I think, I'll end up voting for Biden. Because again, this is a swing state, and this is one of those swing states where everybody does really matter, mm-hmm. Which puts too much pressure on us, which is why the Electoral College is stupid.
Yep.
But I'm leaning Biden because I've looked into, Hawley with the Green Party. Not impressed with anything there, but that's the other part of this is I'm not just saying, well, it's Republican or Democrat. I'm actually looking and shopping around before I settle on Joe Biden just to see if maybe there is somebody that's worthwhile. I know I'm in a swing state, but if there's somebody who's got some good stuff happening, we have platforms and we could, maybe not obviously swing the election. We couldn't swing the primary for Bernie, but we can start bringing attention to some of these people, and maybe going for president right off the bat is a little much for some of these folks. But maybe help them on their way, start small, start local, build it from there. Yeah, I know that's a 10-year plan, but that may be all we have. Those may be our only hopes at this point, because, I was one of those people who thought the Democrats got walloped in 2016. I went out there, I hammered on all of their faults every single day, not because I hated them. And I know there's some in this industry who who did form a hatred
Mm-hmm.
of the Democratic Party from that. I didn't form the hatred, but it was a little bit, all right, y'all see how you screwed up. Now you're going to listen. We're going to do this right. And we're not going to do this in 2020. But now I find myself on the same page of, you know what? I may hate you. I don't want to hate you. I still think you're better than the other major party.
Yeah.
But
You're still
you're
part of the
making
problem.
it right. You're making it hard for me to love you. You know, it's like, oh, you have a cute puppy, but the cute puppy just shat all over the floor and chewed up all your shoes. And you're like, wow, man, why are you doing this? I gave you food. I give you toys. I hug you and cuddle you. But the puppy says, yeah, I really don't care about that. I like going on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the Democratic Party today. They're just going all over the floor, even though you just took them out.
Who do you think Biden's VP is going to be?
I'm terrified that it's going to be Kamala Harris.
Mm-hmm.
I'm even more terrified that it could be Gretchen Whitmer.
Really? You're the first person I've heard say that.
Gretchen Whitmer, a couple months ago, finally decided to stop turning people's water off in Michigan after environmental groups had been warning her for months and months and months that she was harming her own citizens. She didn't care. She didn't care. And I mean, when you look at
So
the fact
ghoulish.
that Flint still doesn't have clean water, well, guess what, Whitmer? Like, that's on you now.
Yeah.
What have you done? You're clearly not doing anything. And, you know, maybe I've seen she's done a couple, you know, small little things, but nothing substantial. But I guess that's like the Democrat thing now. There's never anything substantial. We give you little bits of it, you know, little glimmers of hope, but not really enough to help you. So Whitmer does terrify me. And I think the biggest reason is because not enough people understand that this is a wolf in sheep's clothing. She has not had the national media scrutiny that Harris has, or that, you know, Elizabeth Warren has. So that's the worrisome one for me, because I think a lot of people will automatically just say, oh, okay, yeah, she's from Michigan. It's a swing state, you know, good African-American population there. We'll be good. We're going to win this thing. Yeah. And then slowly, much like Biden, stuff's going to start trickling out. You know, we're going to start finding out all these horrible things. And by then it's too late. With Harris, the whole thing I keep going back to, and I mention this all the time, is the fact that right now we have Steve Mnuchin in charge of essentially handing out and figuring out who's going to get some bailout money. But if Harris had done her job out in California, Mnuchin would be in jail instead of sitting as Secretary of the Treasury.
Yeah.
I mean, she had over 1,000 instances on her desk of crimes committed by Mnuchin's bank that he was overseeing. Over 1,000. And they just decided, no, we're just not going to prosecute you. We're not going to do this. And so that, to me, I cannot trust her one bit whatsoever. And things could be a little bit different right now had she just given the green light and said, yes, go prosecute. She didn't even have to personally do it.
Yeah.
You know,
or
she
just
has the
investigate,
attorney's
right?
Right. Well, this was the result of the
Yeah,
investigation.
okay.
And they said, had the investigation been allowed to continue, because she didn't even let them keep investigating. So yeah, to your point there, they said they probably would have found thousands more of instances of criminal behavior. So all she had to do was just say, hey, this looks great. Go take him to court. Here's your paperwork. See ya. I'm going to duck out early today. I don't care what she said, as long as part of it involved, sure, go ahead and prosecute him. So I guess to answer the question of who I would like to see as Biden's VP, I know since obviously he's pledged that it will be a woman, I don't think I have any particular person in mind. What I have in mind is somebody who is progressive, somebody who has supported Medicare for all, somebody who supports Green New Deal, somebody who is cognitively aware of their surroundings, and somebody who's willing to step in, you know, before 4 years is up, because I think that's going to be a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
And somebody who's able and willing to run in 2024. So if they do not meet those criteria, it's not necessarily going to matter who he picks because it may not end up helping him at all. But of course, it is funny to see the K-Hive out there. They're furious this week.
Yeah.
Because he's now saying like, well, it doesn't have to be an African-American woman. As long as the parts are different from mine, I guess that counts, right?
Yeah.
So he's, they're furious and, welcome to the club.
Yeah, no shit.
How's it feel to be on that side?
You. Yes, you. Do you like cozy environments with other wholesome people? Well, then come join the Discord. It's got a whole bunch of stuff to help you with creative endeavors, such as stock footage, royalty-free music, and an amazing community of people looking to help each other out and uplift your content. Join the Discord now by going to weareserfs.com. That's weareserfs.com.
We would like to thank Miranda Marone. You are our monarch, and we thank you for our indentured servitude. We would like to thank our lords, Ricky Pilgrim, I'm Raft, Michaela Schmid, Tomospin, Ferrer Tahone. You are all the pillars of our organization. To our Knights of the Square Table, Paul Parafit, Daniel Kahn, Clement Chutskoff, Alan R., Josh Mickelson, and Dr. Zayas, Cooper Pilot, Andrea Lynn Epperly, Dylan Bythe, Terry, Todd Buckingham, and Todd Lajeunesse. And to our merchants, thank you for taking mercy upon us.